Despite massive search efforts, her body wasn't discovered for nearly 2.5 months.
Losing Lori has been the worst thing that's ever happened to me. You never get over it. I'm not over it now. I will never get over it.
The tragic case of Lori Hacking. The woman you see here is Lori Hacking, and her disappearance would become one of the most chilling cases Utah has ever witnessed. A vibrant 27-year-old with a promising future, she seemed to have a picture-perfect life. But beneath the surface, a web of lies and deceit would unravel, leading to a shocking conclusion. On the morning of July 19, 2004, Lori Hacking left her home for what should have been a routine jog. It was a habit she had maintained for years, always returning home safely. But this time was different. Hours passed, and Lori didn't come back. Concerned and anxious, her husband, Mark, reported her missing, telling authorities she had never returned from her usual morning run. Little did anyone know, this would be the last time Lori was ever seen alive. For days, Mark Hacking led searches for his wife, appealing to the public for help. He spoke of their plans to move to North Carolina, where he said he'd been accepted to medical school. But as investigators dug deeper, they uncovered a startling truth. Mark had never even applied to medical school, let alone been accepted.
Did you tie it down or anything? What'd you tie it down with?
Twine.
Do you know where the twine's at now?
It should be in my dumpster.
What really happened to Lori Hacking? And how did a seemingly loving marriage end in such tragedy? Lori K. Suarez was born on December 31st, 1976. She was adopted by Thelma and Harold Suarez and raised in sunny California. Harold, a Spanish and Portuguese teacher, met Thelma when they both served as missionaries for their church. When Lori was 10, her parents divorced, and she and Thelma moved to Orem, Utah, leaving Harold and Lori's brother Paul in California. Lori was described as intelligent, confident, outgoing, and popular. She was admired by everyone, an excellent student and generally well-regarded. She loved to camp, and it was on one of these camping trips she met good old Mark. Mark Hacking was born on April 24, 1978 to Janet and Doug Hacking in Orem, Utah. Mark was one of 7 children in a large, successful family. Janet was a registered nurse and Doug was a pediatrician. The family were members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and high achievement was important to them. All the children excelled in various pursuits, upholding the family's image of perfection. Mark was an adventurer, charismatic, loved making people laugh, and thrived on attention. Though he often acted foolishly, people liked him and tolerated his antics. He and Lori met as teenagers on a camping trip. During the trip, Mark was being his usual self, seeking attention by pretending to hurt himself. One night, around a campfire, he decided to put his hand in the fire to turn over a log. Unsurprisingly, his hand got severely burned. Lori, being kind and caring, ran over and asked, "Oh my God, are you okay? I can help. I know first aid." She tended to his hand, and the two became high school sweethearts. After graduating high school, Mark went on his first mission for the Mormon Church in Winnipeg, Canada. Missionaries must follow many rules. No drinking, smoking, caffeine, TV, films, music, or girls, and only reading religious books. Mark initially did well on his mission, as he was a likable guy. However, he soon struggled to follow all the rules. During his time away, Mark began frequenting local bars, partying late into the night, and engaging in inappropriate relationships with young women, under the guise of converting them to Mormonism. This predatory behavior was short-lived, and he was soon caught and sent home. Mark's family was deeply embarrassed by his actions, which tarnished their reputation. Despite his attempts to downplay the situation, his family remained skeptical. Lori had suspicions about Mark's infidelity during his absence, but chose to trust him and move forward. Upon Mark's return, the couple's relationship seemed to improve. They both attended the University of Utah and married in 1999. Lori excelled academically, graduating with honors in business and securing a position at Wells Fargo. Mark, aspiring to become a doctor, continued his studies in preparation for medical school while working part-time at a local hospital, determined to achieve his goals. On the surface, Lori and Mark's life appeared ideal. However, underlying issues began to emerge, revealing cracks in their seemingly perfect relationship.
They were just one of those couples that you're like, oh my gosh, they really loved each other and took care of each other.
Lori and Mark were always together. They were very sweet with each other.
In 2004, Mark was set to graduate and excitedly told Lori he had been accepted into a medical school in North Carolina to study oncology. Lori was thrilled about the opportunity. As they began planning their big move to North Carolina, Lori discovered she was pregnant, adding another significant change to their lives amidst the relocation. Lori had to find a new job in North Carolina and prepare for the baby. So on July 16th, she called the University of North Carolina to discuss financial aid and how her pregnancy might affect it. To her shock, the university had no record of Mark Hacking ever applying or being accepted. Lori was confused, as she was moving there because Mark had been accepted. The university confirmed there was no application or acceptance for him. Lori's world turned upside down. She had suspicions about Mark's honesty, but hadn't yet grasped the full extent. Determined to get answers, she confronted Mark directly. She asked him to explain the situation, and he denied everything, claiming it was a mix-up or a technical issue with the computer system. Despite wanting to believe him, Lori couldn't shake the bad feeling she had. Initially, she told him to sort it out. A couple of days later, on July 18, 2004, Lori confronted Mark again, demanding the truth. Mark finally admitted everything was a lie. He had been living a double life for years. Each day, he would pack his bag with books and head to campus. When Lori left for work, he would sneak back into the house and play video games all day. In the evenings, when Lori returned home, Mark would pretend to do his homework. He even went to the extent of meeting Lori on campus for lunch and complaining about school stresses, all to maintain the facade. It was clear that he invested significant effort into sustaining this deception, energy that could have been better spent on actually pursuing his degree. Lori was furious, both financially and emotionally. She had been supporting Mark, trusting him, and had even put in her notice at work. Pregnant and overwhelmed, she and Mark had a major argument. In the heat of the moment, Lori wrote him a letter stating, "I want to grow old with you, but I can't do it under these conditions. I can't imagine life with you if things don't change. I hate being home from work because it hurts just to be in our apartment." She concluded by saying that if Mark didn't change, she would file for divorce. She left the note for him to read and went to sleep. That evening, Mark read Lori's letter and was enraged. He felt betrayed by her demand for honesty and was furious that she would confront him about his lies. Mark was also deeply worried that Lori might expose his deceit, which he could not tolerate. On July 19, 2004, at approximately 10:07 a.m., Mark called the police to report Lori missing. He told them that Lori had gone to Memory Grove Park that morning for her regular jog, but hadn't returned. Mark then called Lori's mother to inform her of the situation. Police arrived at the park and soon found Lori's car in a nearby parking lot, escalating concerns about her whereabouts.
She went jogging at 5 o'clock and she didn't come back.
Yeah, hi. I was wondering, did she happen to come in to work yet today?
The detective asked Mark for permission to search their home for any clues. Mark, not thinking clearly, agreed, saying he had nothing to hide. However, as soon as the detectives entered the house, they noticed numerous inconsistencies and suspicious elements that raised red flags. First, the detectives noticed Lori's purse, wedding ring, and keys on the side table. They wondered how she could have driven her car if her keys were left behind. Although they considered the possibility of a spare seat, they observed that the car seat was pushed back too far for Lori's height, suggesting that someone much taller, like Mark, had driven the car. Next, they found Lori's letter to Mark, which provided a clear motive. The apartment seemed unnaturally clean, as if someone had tried to cover up a crime. Additionally, they saw that a new mattress with fresh sheets, still creased as if newly unpacked, had been placed on the bed. The detectives then searched Mark's car and discovered a receipt for a mattress from a nearby store, time-stamped at 10:23 a.m., 16 minutes after Mark reported Lori missing. They found it suspicious that Mark would be shopping for a mattress while his wife was supposedly missing. They also found a hunting knife with fresh blood on the bedside table. Mark claimed it was related to his new interest in hunting, downplaying its significance. Despite the mounting evidence, the detectives only had circumstantial evidence at this point and could not make an arrest yet. As the media and local community caught wind of the story, Mark began to revel in the attention, dramatically portraying himself as devastated on TV. He was seen crying about how heartbroken he was over Lori's disappearance. Meanwhile, the evidence against him continued to mount. Traces of Lori's blood were found in the bedroom, and tests confirmed that the blood matched the samples on the hunting knife and droplets discovered in Mark's car. Investigators also located the original mattress in a nearby dumpster. It had a large square cutout, suggesting it might have been used to conceal a body. Realizing the situation was closing in on him, Mark decided to try one last desperate move: faking insanity. In the early hours of the next morning, police responded to a disturbance outside a motel. They found Mark running around naked, which they noted was unusual behavior. However, Mark was still wearing his sandals, leading the officers to question the authenticity of his insanity. The police were not convinced by his act, but took him to a psychiatric hospital to gather more evidence and further investigate the case. As the police continued their investigation, they uncovered the full extent of Mark's deceit. They discovered his web of lies, including his false claims about graduating from pre-med school 2 years earlier. The public and Mark's family were outraged by the revelations. 2 of Mark's brothers visited him at the psychiatric hospital, pressing him for the truth. Mark broke down and confessed everything, including the murder of Lori. He revealed that on July 18th, after reading Lori's letter, he was consumed with rage. He took his rifle, entered their bedroom while Lori was sleeping, and shot her in the back of the head. Mark's brothers immediately reported his confession to the police, leading to Mark's arrest. In his confession, Mark admitted to dumping Lori's body in a local dumpster that was scheduled for collection that morning. Detectives searched for Lori's remains and finally located them on October 1st, 2 months after Mark's confession. The discovery provided her family with the closure they desperately needed, but the tragedy left them devastated. In a shocking turn of events, on April 15th of the following year, Mark reached a plea deal with the prosecution. He was sentenced to 6 years to life in prison, the maximum sentence available in Utah at that time. The fact that he received only 6 years for the murder of his wife and unborn child left many stunned and dismayed. After Mark's sentencing, the parole board immediately addressed concerns, stating, "Don't worry, Mark is going to serve a minimum of 30 years. He won't be eligible for parole until 2035. Despite this assurance, the fact that he received only 6 years for the murder of his wife and unborn child was shocking to many. The law, which allowed such a light sentence, was heavily criticized. In response to Mark Hacking's case, Utah recently revised its sentencing laws. The maximum penalty for similar crimes is now 15 years to life. The case highlighted flaws in the legal system and led to changes aimed to ensuring stricter penalties. What are your thoughts on this case? Could there have been warning signs that were missed? Share your perspectives in the comments below, but please remember to be respectful. As we close this tragic chapter in the story of Lori Hacking, we are left to ponder the devastating consequences of deception and the fragility of trust in relationships. Lori's life was cut short just as she believed she was embarking on a new beginning. Her story serves as a stark reminder that sometimes the greatest dangers can lurk closest to home. If you are craving more thrilling stories and unexpected twists, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Please like and subscribe. It really helps us to bring you more stories like Lori Hacking's. See you on the next one.